Hey boys and girls, today's Heritage Studies lesson is going to be about being a citizen of America. So we've been learning about our country for the past couple weeks now, and today we're going to learn what it means to be a part of our country, what it means for us to live in our country, and the things that we get to enjoy as part of living in our country, the United States of America. So we're going to read from our Heritage Studies book today. So at this time, here's the things that you'll need. You're going to need your Heritage Studies textbook, this one right here, and you're going to need your Heritage Studies work page 121. That looks like this one right here. So work page 121 and your Heritage Studies textbook to read from. And we are going to start our lesson on page 142. So on your screen, you'll see our page for today. It says, what does it mean to be an American? We always want to read the question, and we're going to ask ourselves that question as we read in our textbook. So what does it mean to be an American? Why is living in America different than living somewhere else? So we're going to go ahead and start reading at the top of page 142 of our reading book. Here's the title. It says, Being a Citizen. People are citizens of their country. Citizens of the United States are called Americans. Americans have rights. They have a right to worship God. They have a right to speak and write about things that are important to them. They have a right to meet together. So in America, we are allowed to say anything that we feel is important to say. We're allowed to write anything that we feel is important to write about. And we are allowed to meet together. We're allowed to get together for parties. We're allowed to get together for church. We're allowed to do all those things where we make plans with other people, other Americans, and we meet together. So we have rights. A right to worship God, a right to speak and write, and a right to meet together with others. Okay, now we're moving on to page 143. Americans also have responsibilities. They should obey the laws. They should show respect for leaders. They should show respect for other citizens. And so here we have pictures of some responsibilities that we have as Americans. So responsibilities are those things that you should do. They help you and they help the people around you. So we see this woman here. She's speaking. That's one of her rights, but it's also a responsibility for us to speak up for other people. Here we see a woman helping an older woman to get up the stairs, and that's being respectful of older people, and it's also showing the other person kindness by being helpful. And then this one, you see this woman voting. So one of the responsibilities we have as living in the United States is to vote for the people who we want to lead our country. And it's a right and it's also a responsibility to vote. Okay, so two things that we learned about in our reading today is rights and responsibilities. Rights are those things that everybody should have available for them. The right to meet together, the right to speak what you want to say, and the right to write down the things that are important for you as well. And then Americans have responsibilities. Responsibilities are things that we should do, like obey the laws. We should show respect for the leaders of our government and the leaders of our communities. And we should show respect to other citizens that we live with, people that live around us. Or when you go to the grocery store, or when you see your neighbor, those are citizens too. And so we should help and respect them too. Okay, so we're going to do an activity on our worksheet to help us understand what things are rights and what things are responsibilities. And so I'm going to show you on the screen our worksheet for today. So this is titled American Rights and Responsibilities. So the things that we get to do in America sometimes are different than other countries as well. And that's also important to remember, that America is a different kind of nation than other countries and nations are. Okay, so it says circle the phrase if it tells a right of Americans and draw a line under the phrase if it tells a responsibility of Americans. So number 1 says meet together. Do you remember what the reading said? Is meeting together a right or a responsibility? It's a right. People should not have to tell you that you can't meet with whoever you want to meet with. That's a right. You can meet with whoever you would like to meet with. Okay, so we're going to, it says circle the phrase if it tells a right. So we're going to circle meet together. That's a right that we have. Number 2 says obey the laws. Is that a right or a responsibility? Is that something that we should do to help our communities? Yes. Draw a line under the phrase if it tells a responsibility. It is your responsibility to obey. Obeying the laws and obeying the rules. That is a responsibility. Number 3 says show respect for leaders. That's also a responsibility. It's your responsibility to be respectful. Number 4 says to speak and to write things. Is that a right or is it a responsibility? Can somebody tell you that you can't talk about something, or somebody tells you that you can't write about what you might like to write about? Those are rights. You should have the freedom to speak and write whatever you would like. And no one should be able to take that from you. That is a right. Showing respect for other citizens, just like that lady was helping the older lady. Is that a right or a responsibility? That is a responsibility. It is our responsibility to be kind and respectful to the people around us. And then worshiping God, that is a right, and God gives us the right to worship Him. No one should be able to tell us that we cannot worship God. Okay, so the rights are meeting together, speaking and writing, and worshiping God. And then the responsibilities, the things that we are responsible for doing ourselves, we should obey the laws, we should show respect for our leaders, and we should show respect for other citizens or other people. So we're going to look at the picture and read the caption. Decide whether they show a right or a responsibility. Write the right or the responsibility from numbers 1 through 6. So this is how we're going to do it. Okay, I'm going to do number 7 and number 8 with you, and then to give you an idea of how we're supposed to do this. And then you're going to do 9 and 10. Okay, so 7 says, Ben stops when the light turns red. Now, whenever your parents are driving on the road, there are signs everywhere telling people who are driving the rules and the responsibilities that they're supposed to do whenever they're driving. And also, before you're allowed to drive a car, you have to study and take a test to get a driver's license. And so, if this one says, Ben stops when the light turns red, a red light means you're supposed to stop, and that's obeying the traffic laws. So, underneath number 7, we're going to write obey the laws, because Ben is obeying the traffic laws. So I have it right up here for me to copy from. Obey the laws. Okay. Number 8, it says Jalen wants his neighbor to be safe. Jalen wants his neighbor to be safe. Let's think. If Jalen wants his neighbor to be safe, then that means that he's going to go do something for them that's going to help them. And in this picture, it's snowing, and the sidewalk and the walkway up to their house would be slippery and dangerous if they couldn't shovel the snow. So Jalen's taking care of his neighbor. That would be a responsibility. So we're going to put show respect for other citizens. He's helping his neighbor. So show respect for other citizens. Okay, that's going to go, number 5 is going to go right here, show respect for other citizens. Okay, and in this picture, it says the Johnsons go to church. And you see the family, and you see the other people there who are at church as well. So church, when we go to church, we meet together and we worship God. So you could put both of those, or you could pick just worship God. Those would work there. And then this one says Emma tells about her plan to help her school. She wants to, on her desk here, on this podium, she's talking in front of people and she wrote something. So that gives you a little hint. Which one of these up here talks about speaking and writing? And you will copy that onto these lines here. Okay, so make sure if you need a little extra directions or a little extra help, you could always go back. You can always reread. You can always go back in the video and listen to me read as well. So this was a good lesson about learning about our rights and our responsibilities as Americans. And I pray today that you're proud to be an American and thankful to live in a place where we can worship God, where we can speak, where we can write, and keep praying that it will stay that way. All right, guys, I'll see you again next time for our next history lesson.